Hey everyone, hello and welcome, Tony Bing here. For this test centre video we'll be having a look at Angela. Now she is very similar to the live version of her, but that's no surprise given she was the last hero released in the game, and at that point in time I would imagine plans for this big overhaul were already in place, so our kit would have been built around that. So this will be a very simple video and a nice quick one to get through. So first off, let's have a look at Assassin's Armory. So with these two skill sections, they will actually be very similar to live. There will be certain skills that you notice maybe executes or bleeds have dropped off of them, but they will be regained again through the talents and traits section. So for the purpose of getting through this nice and quickly, I won't actually look at each individual skill here and then move over to the trait. I'll look at the traits all at the end so we can fill in the blanks for any of these skills. So the first skill we're looking at is Rending Blades. It's just your standard basic melee attack. Then we follow that up with Rage of Cyphos, which is essentially a barrage attack. You're doing 5 hits on that. And then you have Whirling Wrath, which is a melee area attack with bonus damage versus bleeding. It's kind of, originally I always seen it as a trash clearer, but a lot of people used it as a primary spirit spender on live, and it did actually work very well as that. And then we have Icor's Wrath, which is melee area, brittle strike chance 100%, and it's on an 8-second cooldown. And then we have No Man Name and Weep, which is 6 second, and that does 40% versus vulnerable targets. And then we have what I was using on live as the main kind of spender, Hunter's Blades, which does bonus damage to bleeding targets. Then we have Heaven Fury, and that's 8 seconds in vulnerability while it's active. That's your kind of move that like Gamora's got as her SIG, and Deadpool's also got as well, and even Spider-Man to an extent there. A few characters have that one now. And then finally for this tree we have the signature Nothing for Nothing, and that's just the same. It's got the 3 different activation charges that you use within 8 seconds there. So all very simple. Now let's have a look at Heavenly Ribbons. So we're starting off here with Riven Ribbons, and with this your ribbons reach out to trip up nearby enemies, making them vulnerable and slowed. It does only give them vulnerability, and it looks like you need to get the slow through a trait, so I think that's a tooltip error there. And then we have Binding Ribbons, which constricts and weakens the enemy. And Heavenly Charge, which is your dash. Now it's a bit pity that that's on a cooldown, because a lot of people, including myself, would previously use that as a trash clearer because she was kind of lacking bar space, and that's what personally I use. But I'm sure once we look at the traits we'll be able to figure out another way of getting all the skills on that particular bar. And next up we have Hypnotic Ribbons, and with that one, that's an area ribbon attack, and that'll confuse the enemy. And then we have Angelic Smite, which is your kind of standard crash down move, followed up by Piercing Ribbons, which does health regen in a kind of barrage style attack. And then finally you have Stunning Icors, which will stun enemies there. So far so simple. So let's look at talents and traits next. Now for talents and traits, we'll look at the defensive and offensive traits first. So you have Asgardian Assassin, and this is critical hit chance 3%. Our archetype is Champion, which goes pretty great with her, to be honest, and that gives you a bonus through durability and speed. So that'll be 0.5 to area and also movement powers there. And defensive side of things, you have Angelic Warrior, so it's health and hit. Archetype is versatile, given her defense and dodge multipliers, and she's got that constant reduction when she's using melee attacks of 8% as well there. For the, it's not really a resource, but for a unique kind of trait she has, you've got the ribbons lashing out, and that's always active. They'll be lashing out at enemies once every 3 seconds. Now onto the talents, and this is where, as mentioned, you'll make up an awful lot of the kind of extra parts of tooltips to skills that we're missing. So first off, Riven Ribbons will now slow enemies caught in its area. So this will be this one here that will add on to it. So as I say, I think it is a tooltip error that it says initially without it even being selected that it gives vulnerable and slow. And next up you have Relentless, so Rending Blades now restore 12 spirit and hit. That's your basic one there, it will restore spirit and hit. And then we have Rage of Cyphos, now causes enemies to bleed there. So let's see, Rage of Cyphos, that's the one there. And for the talent line 2, we've got Striking Ribbons, so Living Ribbons gains the following effects: total damage bonus 25%, and critical hit and brutal strike chance of 5% as well. And then we now move on to Siphon Ribbons, which is ribbon powers now cause enemies to bleed, duration 5 seconds. And I suppose if you're using Living Ribbons and it's going on for every 3 seconds, you'll constantly have a bleed up there then, as long as there's a target available. And then finally we have Soaring Huntress. I like this one. Angelic Smite can be activated a second time before the ribbon attack, so we'll activate that so you can see it. This is especially good for a bit of additional movement. There we go. I do like that. It's all going to be about finding skills like this that can kind of slightly compensate for the changes in movement so that people can feel a bit more happy about their mobility. So for talent line 3 we have Flying Ribbons, so cooldowns on Heavenly Ribbons powers are reduced by 25%, so that'll be skills within this particular tree here. And then we have Ribbon Warrior, so non-damage over time Heavenly Ribbons powers grants the next Asgardian's Armory power usage critical hit chance 25%, so if you're using a non-damage over time skill from here, it will grant a skill from here, that extra chance there, so that's quite interesting. I'm sure there's probably some nice combos that could come up as a result of that. And then we have Mistress at Arms, so cooldown on non-signature or Assassin's Armory powers are reduced by 25% there, so that'll be the skills in this tree. And then we've got talent line number 4, which is Whipping Ribbons, and Angela's Ribbons become enraged, causing living ribbons to double their attack rate, and that was the same as the spec on live if I recall correctly. And then Apprehending Ribbons, with this the living ribbons will pull enemies close to her. And then finally Guardian Ribbons, with this they add 3% reflect to incoming projectiles. I'm pretty certain that's exactly the same as it was on live. And then for the final section we have Sundering Throw, so with this Stunning Icors gains the Execute, which is this particular skill here. We can see the Execute added in. And then for the next one we'll add the Execute to, let's see, it doesn't say in the tooltip, but I believe, yep, that's the one, it adds it to Icor's Wrath. And then finally you have Heavenly Wrath there, so this is if Icor's Wrath or Stunning Icors defeat their target, the cooldowns of all other non-signature and non-ultimate powers are reset. So there's some interesting things in there. She's a little bit different from live. I'm sure there's more builds that can come as a result of these changes, but if you were using a build on live, with the exception of using Heavenly Charge for Trash Clearer, by and large that build will still work, but it's really finding another Trash Clearer that's going to be the interesting thing here with the bar space we've got. But nice enough, nice and easy to do, which I don't mind a nice easy video there. I think this one's done in about 6-7 minutes, that's not bad at all. So thanks once again for tuning in, and I'll see you all again soon.